Wow. So it has been a while since I have done a video, but you know what? I am single because of y'all. God made it perfectly clear a year ago when I was crying in my bedroom about wanting a husband, wanting a man. Why was I still single? Why did I have to go through heartbreak and all that other good stuff? I was crying out to him, upset, hurt, heartbroken, everything. And he literally told me in that moment I was single because of his daughters, that I needed to focus on this single woman's ministry. So that's why I always say I'm single because of y'all. So I know that I have to start doing more as far as SaaS is concerned, and that's what I do call Saved and Single. So that's what we're going to do. For those of you who do not know, I am Victoria Baxter. I am the founder and director of Saved and Single. This program is actually a part of a nonprofit organization that I founded back in 2015, in which I am the founder and executive director of. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. So yeah, between that, here in Charleston, South Carolina, I have this ministry program. I have another ministry program. I have an online church. I do a lot of coachings, teachings, outreach, all kind of different stuff. So what I'm going to start doing every Saturday is the triple S effect, whatever you want to call it. But I say SSS. But what that stands for is the Sassy Saturday Special. I'm going to have a different topic that I'm going to be talking about every single Saturday. So y'all are going to be seeing my face a lot. I want you to comment, send me your feedback, give me your honest feedback. I promise I can handle it. Share it with someone who you think might be interested. Let's connect and do this together. I'm going to find ways to make to make SaaS more of a whatever, especially on my website. But if you go to www.thejalministry.com and click on Saved and Single, you can see a bit more things there and stay in touch when I'm doing, different coachings and teachings or whatever and stuff like that. And I say coaching because I do coach single Christian women. That is something I do. I'm actually in the process of becoming certified in different areas because I primarily focus on relationships, love, sex, and dating as it pertains to those. But if you go on that website, there is a place for you to sign up for the weekly newsletter, but that is how you can also stay in touch when I'm doing things through Saved and Single. So moving right along, like I said, I coach single women on a regular basis. As far as I do a lot of things virtually, I coach a lot of women here in Charleston, South Carolina, in America, and different countries by many different forms of communication. Of course, I will never use names, never disrespect anyone. But what I see while doing this is that I honestly see why many women are still single. And that's what I want to talk about today. So for this Sassy Saturday special, we are looking at why you might still be single. Keep in mind, a lot of these things did apply to me at one point. Some of these things I'm still working through. Yes, I am still single. And even though I focus a lot, again, in relationships and even marriage, funny enough, but again, God will use our own experiences and things like that to qualify us for something, along with the wisdom and things as well. So that's where I get all of my information from. But again, at the same time, I don't have this platform because I've arrived. I have it because he's given it to me and he's called me to do it. And it's hard because I share a lot of my own personal things with people all the time, but I have to be very transparent. And I let women know all the time, hey, I'm your Me Too person. If I can come down on you about something that you're doing or something that you've done, there's a very good chance that I did it too. But I went through all of those things and I don't regret any of it because it's now given me this platform and it's given me information and insight as to why I did those things and why other women are doing a lot of those same things so that I can help. For those of you who read my book, Debunking the Fairy Tale of Boaz, I put a lot of my business inside of there. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I put a lot of my personal information inside of that book. I'm now going on 2 years actually being abstinent. But I ran from this for 7 years. So I had a lot of stories in between that 7-year time frame. However, let's have some fun. Do not take offense to everything, but I do hope that if something does offend you, that it could very well be because it was something you needed to hear. Looking at reasons on why some of you are single. One, something that is interesting to me. We are in a day and age where I see a lot of women telling a man how to be a man. We see a lot of women telling men how to be a man and what actually constitutes being a real man. That's a little bit interesting to me. telling a man how to be a man, no, we cannot really do that. How to be a godly man? Yeah, sure. We can maybe get on men about, who's a godly man and who's not. But as far as trying to teach a man how to be a man, we simply cannot do that. What you can do, however, is you can be a lady and let the rest work itself out. You can be a lady, and that is going to dictate how a man is going to treat you and the things that you actually do allow. What we have to keep in mind, and of course, all of this is from a spiritual aspect. If you are not Christian, if you don't believe in God, you will not get any of this for the most part. But it's also keeping in mind with us being Christian and with us being godly women. And there's a reason I use quotation marks as far as that's concerned. But with us being godly women, a lot of us did not get here overnight. You went through a process to get to where you are right now. What you have to understand is that a man, or a lot of men, they are still in their process at this moment. That does not mean that you are supposed to accept any man. I'm not saying that. Because of course, right now, our only focus should be on our husband, not a husband, but our husband, whoever they are, wherever they are, when we're going to meet them. But it's just keeping in mind that a lot of men, we're so quick to bang the gavel and judge them and determine that they're not a man, they're not man enough, or they're not a godly man. And it's not our place to really make that call. We are supposed to be able to know them by their fruits and judge them by their fruits. And I do get all of that. However, as it pertains to being a man, we'll come back to the godly aspect. When it comes to actually being a man, one thing that I've also noticed with a lot of men that I've encountered, many different things, and being honest, yes, many men that I dated, was in relationships with, had sex with, whether I was friends with them, men in my family, women that I coach, men that they've dated and whatever, just so on and so on. I've realized that a lot of men had no father figure, no role model, did not grow up in the church. A lot of them also did not and do not have a woman to actually set the standard on how to treat a woman and how women should be treated. So it's keeping all of these things in mind when we are so quick to determine that he's not man enough or he's not a real man, and all of these other different things that I do hear on a regular basis. But being godly, a godly man, that's something that I hear a lot about. So that's going to take me down to number 2 on a godly man. Exactly what is a godly man to you? I've asked that question to women who say that they're waiting on their godly man and their godly partner, their godly spouse. What is that? And what I've realized is that when I ask that question, not a lot of women can actually answer that. And some can, some cannot. What's interesting is that a lot of the women who can answer that question about how he's going to be godly, and they'll say the things that a godly man doesn't do. When I then ask them, okay, are you ready to get married right now if you were to meet that godly man? They will say yes. What I then let them know, okay, well, it's interesting that you're wanting this godly man who does or doesn't do these things. You're ready for him right now, but you are doing the same exact things that you will not accept from a man. And I don't quite get that. When I hear that, sometimes I think I'm being punked. I don't get how we can expect a man to not do certain things that we're doing, or we put too much focus on, well, I need a man who can lead me and who's going to bring me to Christ and who's going to do this and pray for me and cover. All of those things are good, yes. But if you look in the Bible and you truly look at a lot of the leading men in the Bible, many of them did not have it together. When you look at Abraham, when you look at David, when you look at Moses, when you look at Peter, when you look at Elijah, a lot of these men had a lot of different issues and things like that. And yes, a lot of them who were husbands as well, who had different things that they were struggling with and had issues with, but they were leading men. They still had a purpose and they were still great men. And we cannot negate that and go against that. So you cannot be upset with someone who is struggling with something that you might also be struggling with, but you don't want him because he's dealing with this. Does that make any type of sense? I hope it does. But that's just something to keep in mind. Again, yes, We will know them by their fruits, but they're also going to know us by their fruits. I got a lot of feedback maybe about 2 months ago or something like that when I actually made a post. I want to say it was on my personal page. But what is very interesting to me is that, and I'm sorry, I get interested a lot, obviously, but something that was very interesting to me that I posted about was a lot of men who say they only want a godly man. They're ready for him now, but they're still struggling and having issues right now with being impure, with having impure thoughts, impure motives. They are fornicating, lusting again. Put it this way. Let me be clear. I am not calling anyone out. I am not perfect. There are still things that I am struggling with. My point being, how can you say that you want a godly man who's going to understand, this, that, and the third, and whatever else, but he's supposed to deal with your sexual immorality and sexual impurities? I'm just saying we have to be a little bit more mindful. This is why some of us are still single, with the things that we demand and the things that we're saying it has to be, and we are ready for it right now, but we still have things that we're struggling with and working on. A godly man will know you by your fruits as well. So are you prepared for that? Are you ready for that? What you do have to keep in mind, perhaps, if you are dancing with the devil and engaging in premarital sex and doing certain things, I'm not going to say you might not be that godly, but that really would cause me to ask. And again, this is why I do ask, what does godly mean to you? Because it's as if we've put different levels and tiers on the Christian journey. And when it comes to different sins and struggles, society has reminded us that each crime has a different punishment, and money and status can possibly get you out of certain things, and also can create a little bit of leniency and pad you a little bit. It doesn't work that way as far as sin is concerned. So we have to be very, very mindful when it comes down to us attacking people and saying they're not there yet. They're not as godly, or they're not as perfect as I am, because they're still struggling with certain things. I don't say this to judge anyone, but really my goal is just to try to get you to open your eyes a little bit. So please do keep this in mind. One thing that I tell women on a regular basis: become the person that the person you're looking for is looking for. So especially directed towards a woman, become the woman that the man you're looking for is going to be looking for. Because if you have this ideal man in your mind about the roles and the characteristics and certain things that he should possess and the things that you want him to possess, think about who you are right now, the true essence of your being, the real you, the part of you that nobody really knows, the things that you might try to hide from others, the secrets that nobody knows. The man that you truly want, will he want you? Will he desire you? Will he want to make you his wife? And if you cannot answer yes to that, then perhaps that is why you're single, and maybe it's not time for you to date. Again, I go back and forth on whether or not I want a man right now. And I've also realized we have to be mindful what comes out of our mouth when we say, I'm not ready for anyone right now. I'm not looking. I'm over here being hidden. I'm gleaning the fields. I'm not ready for my Boaz yet, and whatever else. You don't know him by saying that. God could have just been getting ready to put somebody in your life who would have had everything you needed to make you ready and to help you get to the next level. But we really do forget the power in the tongue and how our words hold much weight. So I really had to get myself to understand, you know what, God, I'm ready when you say I'm ready. These are the things I'm working with. And sometimes I'm not ready, and sometimes I am. I said, God, I'm just going to let you work it all out. And that's going to be that. Become the person that the person you're looking for is looking for. Aside from God letting me know that SAS was a major focal point right now, what he also had to remind me, and what he also let me know in that moment, was that my husband is on the way, that this person is going to need my help with something, that there's something that they've got going on that only I can help them with. And that's a little bit scary. So I'm really just kind of like, oh, what does he have going on? Maybe I'm not ready for real right now. But it really takes me back to the whole Ezer Kenegdo, and not everybody, not all translations, of course, have that. I'm a Bible freak. I like to read the Bible, study the Bible, look at things in Hebrew and whatever else. But what that also entails is looking at Eve and what the wife of Eve and Ezer Kenegdo and a wife really are and what they entail. What you have to keep in mind is that your purpose of being a wife is going to be to help. You are a helpmate. Your husband is going to need something from you. So you can't have this attitude of all these different things that your husband better come, prepared with. You don't know what your role is and what it is that only you can help him with. Honestly, looking back at some of the men I dated, and I'm looking at, I didn't want him because of this. He had issues with this. He had issues with this. I think I did miss out on a lot of great men, all because I was looking at all the things that they did wrong, not realizing those could have been opportunities for me to help them, pray for them, pray with them, and help them get to another level. We want these ready-made men. We want these men who are going to come into our lives and help us with changing light bulbs, raising kids, paying for stuff, helping out financially, when you're forgetting the fact that the role of a wife and a woman is to help the man. You have a role and you have a job to do. So until you also realize that, you might be single for a little while longer. So something else that is interesting to me, many of us want a godly man, but yet we're sitting here still praying about a better relationship with God. I don't get that. And I'm not trying to be funny, but that really makes absolutely no sense to me. That's a little bit backwards. You can't really pray about a better relationship. That's something you just kind of do. But I get that. Not everyone is, whatever as far as that's concerned. That is a prayer request that I get from many women all the time. Help me, just please pray that I get a better relationship with God. Okay, well, if you start by praying on your own, you can have a better relationship with God. That's how that works. So a godly man is someone who is already walking closely with God. How can you want a godly man if you're still praying to even have a relationship with God? Because if that's the case, there's a chance that a godly man might not even look your way if he sees that you don't have a prayer life or a relationship with God. I do hope that makes sense. I also realize that a lot of women are praying more about a husband and finding a husband in marriage than they actually are as far as being a good woman, being a good wife, being a good mother, and trying to cultivate their spirit and focusing on where they are right now and what they already have going on. Things to think about. Another reason I see that some people are still single right now, high expectations. Let me be clear. I often tell people, keep an open mind, but keep low expectations. That does not mean to settle. That does not mean to accept less. But do not expect so much. Again, whether it's the godly man or his job, his car, his credit report, all of these different things. I'm not saying that those things do not exist. I am not saying that there are no men who are not, wealthy, godly, good career, all these other different things. Stop expecting so much is what I'm trying to say, though. I know that men like that do exist. First of all, examine what do you bring to the table, and do you possess the very things that the man you desire? Do you possess the very things that the man you're desiring possesses? Whatever. Do you have those things? Because he's not to come into your life to make your life better. A man is going to already have himself together and walking around content with his relationship with God and what he has, but it's still something he needs help with. But a godly man and a man who is on a right path, he's going to be looking for a certain kind of woman, a certain caliber of a woman. And the thing is that you, and would you be ready if you cross paths with that person? Because some of us, the man that we want, they wouldn't even look our way with some of the things that we have going on. And I'm not saying that all marriages go this way. Let me be clear on that. I'm talking about certain women that are talking about certain things and certain expectations. Because I've seen two people meet each other and maybe each of them were living with somebody else, didn't have much of anything going on. Maybe one or neither person had a car. They struggled together. They rolled, they leveled up together. They built together, got married, boom, can't tell them anything. I've seen so many different situations. So I'm really talking to a certain group of people right now, but letting that be that. You can have these expectations, and that's fine. And you can say, Victoria, I'm just tuning in right now because you sound dumb, but I'm going to wait until I find a man that has this, all these other different things. That's fine. My question being, you find a man that has all of these things. Everything is going wonderful. Y'all get married. He loses all of these things or some of these things. Then what? What if all those things go away like a month after getting married? What if into the marriage he decides he doesn't want to believe in God anymore? What if a bad accident happens and he ends up getting hurt and he can't work anymore? What if you find out that that business was a business that wasn't really his, or that he stole, or that he was embezzling from? I'm not wishing that on anyone, but this is why you have to be mindful with expecting so much going into a relationship and going into a marriage, because any of those things can change. Any of those things can go away. Any of those things can change for the better or the worse. Because you can easily meet somebody right now who doesn't have it together, and a year from now, you can come across that same person again, and they got it going on, and they're driving that nice car. They found God, whatever. But you can marry somebody right now because he's godly and wonderful, and then 5 years into the marriage, he doesn't believe in God anymore. True story. I know of someone that actually happened to. Moving right along, the P word, potential. Woo, child, I am sick of hearing about the word potential. And I say that because many people have potential. A lot of us have potential. A lot of men have potential. The question is, how much work are you willing to put in to bring it out of him? How much time do you have to wait until he reaches his full potential? What if you see that potential and you mold it and you cultivate it and you pray over him and everything else, but all you're doing is building him up for the next woman? I've done that. That happened to me. Saw the potential. I fixed my focus. I decided to not focus on the negative things. God told me repeatedly, pray over him, pray over him, pray over him, pray for him, pray for him, pray for him. I did. God never once told me that that was my husband. Lo and behold, I prayed for him, built him up. He became a godly woman for the next woman. I cried. Actually, that's when I was crying last year, and God told me that I had to worry about y'all. Y'all are the reason that I'm single and that relationship did not work. But you never know when you are building somebody up for the next person. Potential is good, but with no ambition, it can be a problem. With my ex, with my children's father, I waited for 10 years. I saw the potential. I heard the dreams and the talks. I knew what he could do. He didn't have not a lick of ambition. So for almost 10 years, I never got a ring. I paid more than half the bills, and all I have are two beautiful children to show for it. Potential is only going to get so far. Do they have ambition? What's interesting is that a couple of months ago, everything is interesting. What's interesting is that a couple of months ago, I did a coaching titled The Rules of Dating. I will say that up until that moment, that was the most that I've ever had people sign up for a coaching or a teaching series that I did. It was 3 nights, Rules of Dating, and I'm probably going to do it again. And women were flocking to sign up for that. Now, what's interesting is during that, I mentioned 2 different men, if I'm not mistaken, as far as looking at potential. And I'm about to do a separate thing on the power of potential in a couple of weeks. Man A, the woman saw potential and she saw his hustle. She saw that he had ambition. Did not take them long before they actually got married. She had no regrets because everything that she saw in him, it came to fruition. So she saw the potential and he did something about it. Me, I saw the potential with my ex. He never did anything with it. He is now old, got a whole lot, I say old, but older, has a lot of kids. Nothing has come out of that. My kids are about to be home, so I can't talk about that a whole lot because it's their daddy. I know somebody else, man B, who, same thing. The woman saw potential. She, on fire for Christ, Holy Ghost filled, speaking in tongues, all of this since a young age. This man was not. He believed in God. That was it. He wasn't really going to church. He didn't have a prayer life. None of those things. But guess what? He still believed. They got married. And after getting married, he is now this man who is completely on fire for Christ. It is ridiculous to see him speak in tongues, to see him starting ministries and whatever else. He served God more and got closer after they got married because he saw the role of God in her life. He saw the evidence of God in her. And that did something. So again, potential can get you in trouble if you're not careful. Potential is cool. Is there any ambition? Don't worry about what the man has going on. Worry about yourself, because a godly woman can make a huge difference in a man's life. Where you are right now I don't think it will necessarily dictate the kind of men that you attract, but I do think it will dictate the kind of man that you allow to stay. So if and when things perhaps do not work out with someone, it causes us to reevaluate things about ourselves. I've been single for a while now. And when I took the past year off from dating and not, engaging with men at all, I have been going down that list and I've been looking at all the men that I've dated, entertained, had sex with, fell in love with, that I allowed to break my heart. And instead of getting mad at them, it caused me to evaluate and look at so many things about myself. and why I allowed certain things, why I really wanted him, why I tried to force that relationship, why times I had sex and I really didn't want to. So it opened up my eyes about so many different things. So keep that in mind, worry about yourself, and know that you, as a godly woman, as you cultivate your spirit, you can make the world of difference. Again, in a few weeks, there's going to be a more in-depth study as we look at marriages in the Bible, and specifically women in the Bible, because I want to open your eyes as we're always, wanting godly this and godly that and whatever else. Another reason that some of us are still single, many of us want a man for all of the wrong reasons. I was that way because I was sick of struggling as a single parent. I was sick of different household things that I don't know how to fix, build, whatever. I was sick of, sometimes, yes, wanting a break as far as my kids are concerned, wanting someone to take trips with and all of the good stuff. Again, Eve, Ezra Kenegdo, helpmate. Our goal is to help them. It's not about what they can do for us. So if you're wanting someone to come into your life to make your life easier, that is not fair, because you now have a man that, unbeknownst to him, he is going to be coming into your life, entering into a relationship with you with a job that he did not apply for. And that's going to cause a lot of tension, a lot of stress, and a lot of issues. So a lot of times the things that we want in a man, we already have those things in ourselves, and God can do those things best. When God had already told me, let me be your husband first, I was like, no, not good enough, want somebody else. But he had to wreck all of those previous relationships to finally get my attention. And it sucked and it hurt. And I wanted to know, why did I have to go through all that? Why did I have to get my heart broken just for, me to finally figure this out? God was like, yeah, that's what I want to know. Why did you have to go through all that? I was telling you all along. I was showing you all along what I can do for you. I can love you best. I can provide for you best. I can be a better husband than any of those men ever can. But I need you trusting and focusing on me first and foremost. We have to seek first the kingdom of God, live righteously, then we will receive everything else that we need. So keep in mind that we have a job to do. You want a husband, but his goal is not to serve you. Do you even know what to do with the husband? And when you get do you know how all of those things work and operate? Wives have a big responsibility, and especially a godly wife, or any wife, because God owns the copyright to marriage. So you should be a Christian if you're getting married. God created that, and he has the final say. We have a big job to do. Are you ready? I don't know if I am, because I have 2 children. 2, right? Yeah, I have 2 children. I got 3 rabbits. I got 2 dogs. I got a lot. A husband sounds scary, and that sounds like extra work. Just saying. Rules. All of these rules. Again, I did the coaching a few months back, rules of dating. So many people signed up for it, but here's the trick and the kicker. There are no rules. You set the standard. You do whatever you want to do, but you have to keep in mind, with whatever you set in motion, whatever you set in place, that's going to affect the outcome. Your choices will affect the outcome. The thing with rules is that a lot of your rules might have you in bondage, because we expect so much. And then we say that no one can give us what it is that we want, and what it is that we desire, and what it is that we deserve. Your high expectation and your rules might be keeping you whatever. We can't go slapping Psalm 37:4 on everything and saying, well, God will give me the desires of my heart, won't he? Kinda. Because we take that scripture and we try to apply it to everything. I want $1 million in my bank account by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm asking in the name of Jesus. Is it going to happen? No, it is not. Why? Doesn't he give me the desires of my heart? No, not really. Because what happens is, God has a good plan for your life. God created you on purpose for a purpose. God wants to do good things for you, to you, through you, and with you. What happens is, when you actually accept the calling on your life, God is going to start to whisper certain things that he wants you to do, that he needs you to do. He's going to reveal his purpose to you. As you realize that things aren't going the way that you want them to go, you're going to then decide you're going to walk in obedience, because you want the blessings that God has for you. The thing about God is that his presence is guaranteed. His promises are conditional. The only thing he has to do is show up and be there. He doesn't have to give you anything. He promises those things. They are based on your obedience. When you then decide that you are going to be obedient to his word, you then also decide that you are going to start wanting some of the very same things that he wants for you. You say, God, I want what you want for me. I want what you have for me. Da, 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 da. And that's when you start doing those things. And guess what? Woo! He gives you the desires of your heart. but it was really his desire all along because he's actually a little bit sneaky. So be mindful with trying to determine and using, scriptures to your advantage, saying, well, I'm going to make this list and I need him to be 6 foot, whatever. I need him to be this size, this much money, credit score, this, living here, this kind of car, this type of job. He can't work those hours because da 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 da. But then you try to go put Psalm 37:4 at the bottom of it, saying, well, God will give me these things because I ask. Be careful with that. I'm going to leave that one alone because I'll go off on a tangent. What was crazy to me is that I remember seeing a post and somebody was asking about how a woman would feel if you went on a date with a man and he didn't call to make sure that you got home safely. Everyone can have their different opinions as far as that was concerned. Many people were saying, they wouldn't want to date him again. They wouldn't want to talk to him again because a real man would call and a real man would do this. Again, it's kind of getting off the whole real man and whatever else, because I was on a date with a guy once before and he did everything. I mean, like every single thing as far as opening doors, letting me, making sure I was walking, on this side of the street, all of these other different things. When I finally got home, did he call me? No, but I saw the way he treated the waiter. I saw the way he gave a tip. He was friendly to everyone. He protected me, whatever, all that other good stuff. So sometimes we end up having these different things that we're trying to dictate how a person needs to be, what they need to do. But just be a little bit mindful. I bet you that's one of my kids ringing the doorbell. Hold on. Yes, I was right. So we just have to be very mindful when it comes to certain things like that, as far as dictating the things that they should or shouldn't do, because like I had also said earlier, you never really know who doesn't know, who's not been taught certain things, and nobody was maybe there to show them and teach them the things that we are saying are necessary and whatever. Sometimes, I hate to say taught because I don't want to put anyone in the category like they're dogs or pets, but sometimes they do have to be taught. Sometimes they don't know the standards. Sometimes they don't know how you want to be treated and how you need to be treated. So let that be that. Again, keep that in mind, because some of the same women that I will hear say certain things as far as, a man needs to do this and a real man will do whatever else the case might be. Some of these women are the same women who they're doing some other things. Let's just put it that way. They get mad because the man that they broke their celibacy for, or, stop being after, now he won't act right. Or they'll say, a man better do this, but then they'll go and spend money on a man that won't treat them to anything. And I don't get it. And I'm not, trying to, pick or make fun of anyone. I'm just simply saying we have to be very careful with the very things that we are demanding and expecting from other people, but yet there are certain things that we're doing that don't line. Like he has to do this, but you're still doing that. Like he can't do this, but you have an issue with rules and lists. Will have many of us as the old woman with a lot of cats. Those rules and lists will get a lot of us in trouble, especially Christian women. And I will close pretty much with this. One of the things that I noticed the most is that a lot of Christian women, will definitely focus on, well, God didn't tell me I can date. God didn't tell me to get, nope, God wants me over here. God said, now if God told you to, for a fact it was God, that's something completely different. But if you're just saying, well, God didn't tell me this, or well, I'm just over here waiting because there's no dating in the Bible, or I think that God is just going to, make my husband drop out of the sky, or I just know that one day I'm just going to be, bump into him in church because it happened like that in my dream. Be mindful with that. Use wisdom, use discernment, let the Holy Spirit lead you. Absolutely. But it is crazy to me because a lot of these same women and a lot of us in general, and sometimes men as well, we're always told to, or, we're saying how we're waiting on God, or we want him to give us a sign. And we're told that we need to do that. Or some of us just make up, that on our own, but we don't do that same thing when it comes to jobs, when it comes to schools, when it comes to degrees, cars, houses, pets, a certain neighborhood, whatever. So it's like we become stagnant and we sit over here and say, nope, I got to wait, on when God tells me it's ready and when God tells me it's time. I've made it clear, me perfectly, I don't even buy into that whole notion of the one. There are too many people in the world for us to really think that there's one person that we're supposed to be with. There's also too many stupid people in the world who oftentimes do not listen and do things the way that they are supposed to be doing as far as it relates to Christ and seeking him before you make any decisions. So all it takes is one person to mess that up and to mess it up for everyone for us to actually think there's only one person we're supposed to be with. I believe there are many people that we can enter into a relationship with, and if we actually decide to keep God first, um, He can bless that relationship. He can bless that marriage. It's all about Him growing you up and you using wisdom and discernment and you being able to test someone by their fruits to determine if that is someone that you need to entertain or spend your time with. We change and we oftentimes expect everyone, men included, to automatically be on our level and to be where we are, now that we've figured certain things out. And that's just not quite how it works. You have to know your worth and do not settle, absolutely, but be realistic at the same time. I was telling my friend, it's so crazy a lot of times with women and with us, a lot of times that we get bougie and high maintenance once we've changed, and once we've gotten to where we are now, we become a little high maintenance and whatever else, and forgetting that a lot of us were, as I say, thoughting and bopping back in the day, that a lot of us still have a past. And I'm not really trying to poke fun, but I was also kind of talking about myself as far as that, because being honest, I was that person who, of course, I'm like, no, I am now changed and I know the Bible and I read the Bible and I give God the first part of my day. And I don't care how many people I did. I don't do anything anymore. So I need a godly man and he's going to be this and that and da 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 da. Forgetting that, once upon a time, we're going to keep this classy and clean. I'm just saying, be realistic. Be realistic and set standards. Absolutely. Have standards. Know your worth. Set goals. All of those things are fine. But let's just, evaluate some of the reasons why some of us are single still and why some of us have had some issues. We do become very high and mighty a lot of times and just become too ridiculous where it's just out of this world. So change is always nice, yes, but again, just be realistic. Mindsets can change and they should. It's okay for a lot of us to have a wife mentality and to, no longer want to be a girlfriend. Nothing is wrong with any of that. I remember Sierra got a lot of slack for that, but I definitely agree. There's nothing wrong with changing. It's interesting at the same time. I do remember, like, even Eve in the Bible, she was the first wife, but even with that, she still had her purpose. She still had a goal. It was still to help. And that is what we are created to do. And I think a lot of times when we realize that we are created for a purpose, and especially as it pertains to marriage, for husbands and everything else, and realizing that they need us, it is something that they are going to need, it's going to make us look at things a whole lot differently, I do believe. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Just read the whole thing. Look at what it says about being married and being single and whatever. I think it's very insightful and I think you will enjoy it. Talked enough, throat hurts, voice hurt. Drop a comment. I would love to hear what other people have to say. If you know someone, tag them, share it, whatever. But I will see you next Saturday as we continue on with the Sassy Saturday special. Bye.